So you can come and sit down in an easy seat. If you have them, if you have yoga blocks, that's great. If you don't have a yoga block, if you have just a book or even like a couple of dumbbells or something that you could use, something, yep, perfect. All right, and we're gonna just start in whatever your easy seat is today. Take a minute to come into the room, the space. Let the crown of the head reach up towards the ceiling, let the spine get nice and long. Hands rest anywhere that's comfortable in the lap, and then just take a moment to close the eyes or let the gaze soften. You can look away from the screen if your eyes are staying open. Just find the farthest point of view. And take a moment to settle into the breath. No need to change anything, it's just noticing how quickly or slowly the breath is flowing or where it's located. Taking in all these little tiny details about the breath. Noticing if it's smooth and even or if it has any sharper or jagged edges to it. And then at some point beginning to lengthen the breath, gently extending your inhales. And then extending the exhales even more. So settling into a longer exhale, a down regulating breath. And with each inhale, feel the air pulls all the way in so it fills the abdomen, expands the rib cage, lightly lifting the collarbones. With each exhale, the collarbones sink, rib cage contracts, navel jaws lightly back towards the spine. With each inhale, feel yourself breathing in space and ease and lightness into the body. Each exhale, releasing all the things that aren't in this present moment. So that each breath anchors you more firmly to this moment, this space, and this room, this body, exactly as it's showing up right now. On your next inhale, feel the crown of the head lifting a little more, both sides of the neck get even longer. As you exhale, let your right ear drop over the right shoulder, left fingertips down towards the ground. You can stay in stillness, or you can begin to invite your movement right away, nodding the head yes as the right ear drops to right shoulder. Or you might shake the head no, or circle the chin. Just as you move or as you stay in stillness, notice where the sensations are in the neck. Notice if there's any place your body is asking you for a little more time, a little more care. And whenever this feels complete to you, on an exhale, roll your chin right down to the chest and let the head just hang heavy, but see if you can feel your spine staying nice and long. Noticing what you feel through the back of the neck and deciding if you want to stay in stillness or if you want to nod the head yes with your gaze staying low. Or turn the head side to side with the chin to the chest. Gaze turning to the right or turning to the left. Maybe you want to roll one ear over to the same side shoulder, back through center, rolling over to the other side. And you might move a few rounds, rolling from side to side, and at some point, ending up with the left ear, dropping over to left shoulder and pausing there. And decide, do you want to stay in stillness, following the sensation on the right side of the neck? Or do you want to invite a movement, nodding the head yes with the left ear heavy to left shoulder? Or do you want to shake the head no? Or circle the chin? Just noticing where the lines of tension are as you move, and how they may or may not be different from the first side. And whenever this feels complete, you rolling your chin slowly down to the chest one more time. Head dropping down heavy. And then on an inhale, taking the heel of one hand to your forehead, gently setting your head right up into center. Hey buddy, Mama's teaching left. We have a little visitor who's gonna join us. On your next inhale, just extend the legs out long, let the circulation come fully into the backs of the legs. I know, hey buddies, honey, I'm teaching a class, okay? You guys should go on now. And just let the circulation come fully in. You can move through the backs of the legs. Pull those toes strongly. Do you see that there's some people out there teaching? Pull those toes strongly back towards your face. And feel all those muscles turn on through the backs of the legs, and then slowly point the toes all the way down to the ground. Everybody, this is Logan, and then this is Liam. And they're joining us for yoga. Logan, honey. Great, honey. I think you guys should go out, Liam, honey. Yeah, you gotta go talk to Papa, okay? Quick, go talk to Papa. I'll talk with you guys in a few minutes after I teach my class. Go on. Go on, Loki, take your breakfast with you. Go see Papa. Go on. So keep moving through the toes for another moment. And you guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna see if I can find their Papa, and I'll be right back for you guys. Can I have you teach this for the baby?
Yes. Loki, come on. Hey, let's go talk to us. Sorry.
Sorry about that. 3-year-olds making up. All right, and so getting those legs back to your cross-legged seat wherever you started, but maybe let the opposite leg cross in front or on top. And on your next inhale, reach the arms right up to the sky, reach out a little bit side to side, getting long through both sides of the body. And when you come to your next exhale, let your right hand come right down to the ground. Walk the fingers over to the right as you reach that left arm way over. And then you can decide to just stay with the sensation on the left side of the body, or you can move through the wrist. Maybe bend and straighten through the elbow, or move in bigger movements through the shoulder. Moving the arms all around. Taking one more smooth, even breath just where you are. And when you come to your next inhale, reach both arms up to the sky and reach out a little bit side to side. Feel out what's happening there. And on an exhale, left hand comes down to the ground, walking the left fingertips over, right arm extending out to the left. And same thing, do you want to stay in stillness, feeling from right fingertip to right hip crease? Or do you want to invite in movement through the fingers, the wrist? Maybe bending the elbow and then extending there. Moving all through the shoulder. Taking another 2 rounds of breath. Just to explore, what does your body need on this side? And when you come to your next inhale, reach those arms right up to the sky, pausing to reach out side to side one more time. And on your next exhale, arms release all the way down. So we're going to extend the legs out long. You might take the block out from under your sit bones if you have it. And Cheryl, last week Roy and Bruce were asking for some hip flexor work. So we're going to work on the hip flexor. So I'm sitting, our legs extend out long, and I have a block on either side of my legs, about as wide as the mat is. And it's on the lowest setting. You could do just one block and work with that, or you can set up 2 or use some books. You could take your hands behind you, right by the hips, to help support the spine if you want, or you can play with hands to heart center and sitting up nice and tall through the spine through balance. But just to begin, on your inhale, see if you can float the right leg, and just see how high you can float the right leg, keeping the spine nice and tall. And then as you exhale, slowly lower that back down. On your next inhale, float the left leg, and see again, how high can you lift it without starting to round through the spine? So just like turn to the side. So lifting with the spine nice and tall, as opposed to allowing that rounding through the low back. And then exhaling to release that down. And then you might give yourself a little movement through the legs, a little wiggle, shake of the hips, just to release any tension there. And when you come to your next inhale, lift that right leg up, float it up, lift it over to the other side of your block, and then lower it and release it down. And then inhale, lift your left leg up, float it over your block, release it down on the other side. And then you can bend through the knees, pull the heels in towards you, release a little bit in a wide-legged seated, or wide-legged seat. And when you're ready, starting with the left leg first, and then inhale, can you float the left leg? Can you lift it over the block and return it to center? And can you lift the right leg, float it over the block, and return it to center? And then go ahead and give yourself a little release, circle through the ankles, move through the hips. And we're going to play with rotation of the thigh bones. So if you take a look to your thigh bones, see what happens if you turn your thigh bones in towards each other. So the toes turn in, this movement happening in the femur at the hip socket. And now if you inhale, can you float the leg up high enough to lift it over the block again and set it down on the other side, an internal rotation. And then can you float the left leg up and float it over your block to the other side, an internal rotation. And then when you get to that wide-legged fold, you can move through internal and external rotation a few times. Let the thigh bone rotate out and in, release a little tension. And this time we're going to start with the right leg first. So coming back to that internal rotation with the legs in internal rotation, the hips in internal rotation, can you float the left leg up? Draw the leg in between the blocks and release. And then float the left leg up, draw the leg in between the blocks and release. And then find external rotation. So thigh bones rotate out. They turn out towards the sidewalls, toes turn out. And then on your next inhale, let's lift the left leg first. Float it. Draw over the block, release it down, and then float on your next inhale. Your right leg, draw it over the block, release it down. And again, take a second in the wide-legged forward fold to play with rotation side to side. Let that work go. And then settle back into external rotation. On your inhale, can you float to the left leg? Draw it in through center and release. Inhaling to float the right leg. Draw it in through center. Exhale, release. And then you can move the blocks around. You can bend the knees. You can roll yourself all the way onto your back, rolling all the way down. And let the legs extend out long and the arms extend out long. And just reach out a little bit side to side. Releasing all of that tension through the legs. You can bend the knees at some point. Soles of the feet to the ground. Arms can still be reaching up over your head. Press into those feet, and as you inhale, lift the hips. Really just focusing on pressing the hips up. So it's not a full yoga bridge. It's more of a fitness bridge. Hips lifting to the ceiling. Breathing smooth and even, center, finding the opposite work of what we just did. Hip extension as opposed to hip flexion. One more smooth, even breath here. And then on an exhale, slowly lowering the hips all the way down to the mat. You can take your feet as wide as the mat is with the knees still bent, and then let the knees fall in towards each other. Hands to heart, hands to belly. Just taking a moment to breathe. Smooth, even breath, releasing all of the work. And settling into a moment of nothing to do, nothing to need to accomplish. And connecting to the sensations that are in this body right now. And the breath. When you come to your next exhale, let the knees drop over to the right. Arms can extend out. You can send the gaze over to your left palm. Pause for a moment here. And then when you come to your next inhale, come back through center with the knees and the gaze. And as you exhale, knees drop over to the left. Gaze goes to the right. And pause and breathe here. On your next inhale, whenever you arrive there, coming back through center. Feet can come more like hip width apart, and then actually just hug the knees in towards the chest for a moment. You can circle the knees here in both directions. And then with the hands staying on the front of the knees or right behind the knees, in between right behind the thighs, you can start to slowly rock yourself so that exhale rocks you up and inhale rocks you back. You're feeling like you're really inflating the back of the ribs as you rock backwards, and then exhaling to rock up. You can make the rocks and rolls as small as you like. If it feels good on your spine, you can make it bigger. Keep moving 2 more rounds with your breath, rocking back on the inhale, up on the exhale. When you come to your next exhale up, see if you can pause and hold here. Balancing on your sit bones, can you get your spine nice and long? You can have your hands behind your legs. If it's hard to hold here, you can let a toe come down and balance with the other leg or switch. And since I can't see what's happening, Cheryl, I don't know where you are, but if it feels like you can do it, you can let your hands go, release the arms, and extend the arms out. And if you feel like you can straighten the legs, you can straighten the legs. See if you can still breathe wherever you are. For 1 more smooth round of breath. And on your exhale, release your legs down. You're gonna make your way to all fours any way that you like to get there. When you come to all fours, take your big toes together, knees open up nice and wide, hips sink to the heels. And then I'm walking the arms forward so that your forehead can come right down to the mat. Coming into a child's pose. Taking a moment just to breathe here, smooth, even breath. Allowing yourself to fill with each inhale the abdomen, the rib cage, the collarbones. To empty on the exhales, collarbones, then rib cage, then abdomen. And feeling like the back of the body expands just as much as the front of the body with each breath in. And the whole body sinks back towards center with each breath out. When you come to your next exhale, you might walk the hands just over to the right, keeping the hips where they are, even gently drawing that left hip crease back a little bit. Feeling long from left pinky finger all the way through left hip. When you come to an inhale, walking the hands slowly back through center. Exhaling the hands, walk over to left, gently drawing that right hip crease back. Getting long from right pinky finger all the way through right hip. And you come to your next inhale, walking yourself back through center and lifting up slowly to all fours, just starting to rock forward and back a little bit. Getting the weight into the wrists. You can turn your fingertips in all directions. I'm going to back up so you can see my hands. Turn the fingertips in all directions so that you feel what is it like to bear weight, your body weight and wrist extension in all these different angles. Maybe let the backs of the hands come down to the mat and you try playing with weight bearing through wrist flexion in different angles. Whenever that feels like enough, let your wrists come under your shoulders, tuck your toes under, let the movement start right at the tailbone and start to articulate the spine. So on your inhale, the tailbone lifts, and then vertebra by vertebra, you feel like your belly slowly begins to sink. Movement going like a wave down the spine. Eventually you'll feel the bottom ribs start to pull forward and up, the sternum pulling forward and up. Collarbones lifting, the back of the neck lifts. And the last thing to come up is the gaze. And then when you're ready to start the other side, exhale, untuck the toes, tailbone draws under first, and then see if you can keep the gaze up. And then start to slowly round up the spine like a Halloween cat. So it's like a cell puffing air into your belly, blowing up the center of the spine, shoulder blades spreading, and eventually the chin will tuck right in towards the chest. And then you can move at your own pace, in your own time, and just feel out these movements through your body, moving through cat and cow, but articulating the spine, really noticing where the places where my body articulates, where it segments, and where the places where my spine moves more in groups. Is there a place where a whole section of the spine moves all at once, rather than moving vertebra by vertebra? And are there places where there's more mobility in your body today? Places where it's easier to move and to segment and articulate? And are there places where there's less? So noticing all of these details just in a spirit of curiosity, self-inquiry about the ways our bodies hold tension and the way they move, what they might need today. At some point on an inhale, coming back through a neutral spine, and you might have your hands right on the floor, you might have your hands on blocks at any height to give you a little bit more space to step your right foot forward on your exhale. And when you come forward, take a moment just to move through the hips as much as you like, really moving forward and back. Your hands can stay on the blocks to support it, or you can let this be a little bit more with the shoulders and the spines, interlacing the fingers, reaching the palms up as you come forward, and then drawing the arms back, rounding the spine as you come backwards. So see if you want to stay focused on the hips, or if you want to bring the shoulders and the arms into it. And if there's a place where you say, ooh, I'd like to stay right here for a breath or two, take that time, feel free to stay there. And at some point, we're going to pause with the right knee stacking over the right ankle and the left hip over left knee. So the body's at these nice 90-degree angles. Draw that right thigh bone strongly back into the hip socket. Feel the hamstrings engage. Keep that engagement. Hands come up to right thigh if they're not there already. Squeeze the hips forward, and then notice what you feel through the front of the left hip. You can stay right here, keep this work in the legs, or you can inhale, reach the arms all the way up to the sky. Get long through both sidelines of the body. You can wiggle your fingers. And then depending on what you need through the left hip, you can start to, you take your right hand to your right ribs, start to reach your left hand over to the right. Can you feel that change? A little bit of movement through the side of the left hip, the front of the left hip. You can stay right here in this little side bend, or you can take this right hand and start to reach it to the right and let it rotate your body, your torso, just a little bit, and feel where that brings the sensation in the left hip. You can stay here in stillness and move through the fingertips for one more smooth, even breath. And on your next inhale, unwind, come right back up through center. Exhale, hands come down to your blocks, or you can play with your hands on your hips for a little bit of a balance challenge. And see if you can float that right foot up off the ground and bring it all the way back around so right knee meets left. Or you can move with the hands on the blocks, right foot, right knee to match left knee. So wherever you want to go, give yourself a little bit of movement through the hips, release, feel out what's happening left and right sides of the body. And when you're ready on an exhale, left foot steps right up in between your hands. And then feel free to move, to play with that sensation through the hips, front and back hip. As you send your hips forward, as you send your hips back. With movements that are as small or as big as feels right in your body today. And you can bring the shoulders into it, reaching those arms up and releasing the fingers and you come forward. Drawing the arms back, rounding chin to chest for the spine as you draw backwards. So moving through spinal extension and flexion, shoulder extension and flexion. Taking 2 more rounds of breath, feeling free to pause somewhere or to keep moving. When you come to your next inhale, left knee stacks over left ankle, right hip under right knee. Get yourself at those nice right angles. Left thigh bone strongly pulled back into left hip socket. Get that work through the hamstrings. Hands come up to the left thigh. Squeeze the hips forward. Notice what you feel to the front of the right hip. Decide either to stay with the work in the legs or inhale, reach the arms up. Get long through the sidelines of the body. You can move through the fingertips. You can stay with this. You can reach out side to side, or you can take your left hand to right ribs, and then reach those right fingertips over to the left, finding a nice side bend. And noticing if that changes what you feel through the front of the right hip and the side of the right hip. This might be just what you want, what you need, or you can add on taking the left fingertips and reaching them to the left, letting them rotate the torso a little bit. And see how that changes the sensation in the front of the right hip. And you might stay in stillness or move through the fingers, move through the wrist. When you come to your next inhale, unwinding, coming all the way back through center. Same thing as before, either moving with the hands to the blocks or the mat so that your left knee comes back to match your right knee, or see if you can play with lifting, with floating that left foot off the ground. Can you find a place where you balance? It's hard to find. And then can you float that left knee all the way back and around to meet the right. And then you're going to be up here in a position where you're kneeling. Your knees can be padded. And send your hips right forward. Take your hands to your low back. Fingertips pointing up. And you can just inhale, lift the heart, and then exhale, come back through neutral. You can let this be as small or as big as you want. So you can inhale, lift a little bit more, and then exhale, come back to neutral. If you want to settle in and stay, you can stay. If you want to play with walking your hands down to your toes, you can tuck your back toes under. And see if you can walk one hand down to a heel and one hand down to the other heel. And stay and lift. Or you can untuck those toes. Let the hands come down to the soles of the feet. But play with seeing if you can keep your breath. And when you feel like that's enough, whatever that is, and then inhale, come back up through center. And then exhale, let your hips come right down to your heels. You can take your hands and let them come right into your lap. And just take a breath, smooth and even, eyes closing or the gaze softening. Then you might take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. The hand on your heart is going to move, the hand on your belly is going to stay still. And on your next exhale, draw your heart hand to the left, your head to the left, finding a small twist through the thoracic spine. Breathing smooth and even. When you come to your next inhale, coming back slowly through center. You might switch your hands, and on your next exhale, let the heart hand draw over to the right. And then let the head follow to the right. And then you're ready on an inhale. Come slowly back through center. Again, you can take your hands to your blocks if you like, or your hands to your mat, any way you'd like to get there. Or you can play with tucking your toes. We're coming up to a stance. So you can walk yourself through one foot at a time. Or you can play with tucking your toes and lifting yourself all the way up. See how you want to get there. Any way you'd like to get to arrive up at the top of your mat, coming all the way up to stand and shake the legs out. How are you guys doing? Everybody okay? Shirley, good over there? Great. Okay. Roy, you doing all right? Yep, good. Okay. So give yourself a little shake. Move a little through the legs. And then we're going to play with hip flexor strength again. So you can do this you can make this about balance, but you can make it just about the strength of hip flexor. So feel free to use a wall or a stable piece of furniture for stability, or to play with balance in the middle of the room. But press into your left foot, wherever you are, hands to something, a place that makes you feel stable. And on your inhale, see how high you can draw your right leg up straight. Just see where it comes to, no judgment. Take a smooth, even breath, see if you can hold it there. And then exhale, release that right leg back down. See if you can keep from letting that leg touch. See if you can send the right foot all the way back, but keep your spine nice and long. So I don't know if you can see that come straight on. So spine stays neutral, but right leg draws back behind you. And then on your next inhale, one more time, how high can you lift your right leg with a neutral spine? Smooth, even breath, and without letting too much bend come into the knee. And then exhale, slowly draw the leg back. Keep the spine neutral, don't allow it to arch, and see how far back you can draw your leg into extension. Last time, inhale, draw your right leg forward, lift it up as high as it'll come. Exhaling, draw the leg back, find hip extension. And then inhale, right foot comes down, and let it go. Give yourself a little shake. Let all the work go side to side. Now, I don't know if you guys have a strap or a belt or anything like that. If you do, you could take it and just see if you can play. Oh, you do, beautiful, perfect. So it doesn't need to be looped or anything. I have mine looped from the last class I taught. But take the belt around the bottom of your right foot one more time. Again, you can use a stable support for balance. So it can be about balance, but it doesn't have to be. And then on your inhale, lift your right leg up straight and see how high it comes when you have that extra support, when you have the help of your arm. Spine still nice and neutral, right? I'm going to turn to the side. So spine still neutral. Take one more smooth, even breath just where you are. And then see what happens if you let go of the strap. Does your leg drop? It's almost impossible for it not to, right? Can you breathe for one more smooth, even breath? And then exhale, release completely. Good work, you guys. I know that's really hard. It's like, it's intense, right? So we're gonna switch over to the opposite side. You'll come back to your strap again in a moment. We'll start with no strap. Feel free to use the stability for a support for your balance. When you're ready, press into your right foot, and on an inhale, left leg lifts as high as it will come. Smooth, even breath. 2 smooth, even breaths here, just holding. And then see if you can focus on what's happening through your posture. Can you keep your spine nice and long, nice and natural curves of the spine, but not excessively rounded and not excessively arched. And then on your next exhale, start to send the leg back and see if you can find hip extension. What does hip extension look like? With a naturally curved spine, neutral spine. Inhale, draw that left leg forward. How high can you lift it? Smooth, even breath. Maybe the foot comes down at any point, no problem. Treat yourself with kindness. Exhale, let that left leg come back. Find the hip extension. Last time, inhaling to come up and forward. Notice if it's changing. Is it getting harder? Is it getting easier to lift the left leg? And as you're ready, exhaling to draw that leg back. And then inhale, release completely. Let that all go. Shake it out. Take a hold of your strap when you're ready. You know where we're going. Strap comes around the sole of the left foot. Give yourself a little tug with that strap, and then when you're ready on an inhale, left leg comes up. And then see how high can you bring your left leg with the strap? Is it different than where you were without it? Can you get your breath smooth and easy here? And then see if you can really feel the engagement. Can you turn your hip flexors on so that when you release the strap, maybe you're like, oh, just a tiny bit or not much at all. Breath smooth and even. Can you hold it here? And release, let it go. Shake it out, you guys. And you can really shake. You can give yourself like a really good shake everything. Let that go. All right. How do your hips feel? Do they feel like they've done a little work? Yeah, okay, good. All right, so moving on. Last little bit before we come down to relax. So you're gonna come to the front of your mat Inhale, circle the arms right up to the sky. Exhale, hands come into the heart as the hips sink, the knees bend, coming into a chair pose. And you can play with rolling forward and back on your feet. Filling out the soles of your feet, and then settle down, let the feet come down, and play for a moment with your pelvis. Can you feel what it feels like to draw your pelvis way under so your whole low back is smooth and rounded? And then what does it feel like to really arch your back, to lift the pelvis up, the tailbone up, tilt the pelvis forward, and then tilt the pelvis backwards, posterior tilt, tailbone comes under, and then find anterior tilt, pelvis tilts forward like a bowl of water. And then can you settle right in between and find that neutral spine? Press into your feet and sink maybe a little deeper in the hips. And then can you float your left foot just for a second? Press into the right foot, float the left foot. Set the left foot down. Can you float the right foot? Press into the left, float the right. Set that back down. And then maybe you notice your body shifts a little bit. Really press into your right foot so that you're not going to shift it all. And then lift the left foot. Float it. Draw that left foot back, step back into a crescent warrior stance. So you're up on the ball of the foot. Feel free to use your blocks to adjust your feet so you're not standing on a balance beam. And then it's going to be a little different from usual. So when we're in crescent, we're usually straightening that back leg. What happens if you bend your back knee? Let the back knee sink down towards the floor. And then see if you can lift your left arm, reach up to the sky, and breathe up. Can you feel into the front of this left hip here? And you can do the same thing. You can play with tucking the pelvis under, tucking the tailbone under, excuse me, so that the pelvis is in a posterior tilt to feel into that hip extension. One more smooth, even breath, just where you are. And then start to send weight into the right foot. You can always use your block ahead of you. See if you can send weight into the right foot, float the left leg up behind you. And maybe you can find supported warrior 3, or both arms extended, or hands at heart. One more breath. And then your inhale, let the whole body tilt back up towards center and come into mountain pose. And give yourself a shake. You might take a big breath in through the nose, reach the arms up to the sky, and then side out, sweeping the arms out. Inhale, circle the arms right up, big breath in. Exhale, release. Inhale, circle the arms up, this time breathing out, hands just come right in to heart center, knees bend, hips sink, come right back down towards that chair pose. Send the weight into your left foot so you can get the right foot to lift. Way into the right foot, left foot lifts. Lay into both feet. I think it's the right foot we want to move this time. So is that right? We're stepping back and right. Yes. Yeah. So press the weight into your left foot, but don't let the weight shift. Really get sturdy and stable on that left foot first. And then when you float the right foot, you don't shift to the left at all. And then start to send that right leg back. Come into your crescent warrior. Feel free to use blocks to find your foundation. Make sure you feel stable before you begin. And then when you lift up, bend that back knee. Let the knee drop down so that your hip ends up right over that back knee. And then you can feel into the front of that right hip. And you can inhale, reach the right arm up to the sky. You can lift the ribs, lift the heart. See what you feel through the front of the right hip. Breath smooth and even. And then you're going to start to send the weight into your left foot. You can feel free to take your left block along with you as you shift forward. See if you can begin to float the left leg up behind you. Maybe into a supported warrior 3. Maybe both hands on blocks, fully supported. Maybe both arms extend out. Hands to heart center. You find the place where it works for you. See if you can take one more smooth, even breath. And when you come to your next inhale at your pace, start to tilt yourself all the way back up to stand. Inhale, circle the arms right up to the sky. Exhale, side out. Release. Inhale, reaching the arms right up. And exhale, release. Inhale, lift up just halfway, nice long spine. Exhale, hands come down to the floor, planting and making your way all the way down to all fours or your belly and coming all the way onto your back. Make your way there any way you like. When you come down onto the back, take your feet wide for a minute. Knees fall in towards each other so that you come into that constructive rest position. You can let all of the work go. See what's happening with the breath. Let it slow down. Slow breath in. Slower breath out. Extending the arms out to the sides. One last time on your exhale, let the knees drop over to the right. Gaze going to the left. And then you can really focus on this long fascial line from your left pinky finger all the way through the outside of your left arm, through the armpit, the left side of the rib cage, the left hip, all the way down to your left knee. Can you feel the length through that whole region? Can you send your breath all the way through it? On your next inhale, start to reach your fingertips, tracing them up and over your head, like a rainbow all along the ground until left palm comes to reach on top of right palm, so that you're almost in a fetal position. And then start to draw that left hand across the top of your right arm, all the way across until you come to face back into center. Bring your knees up into center with you. Left arm extends out. On your exhale, knees drop to the right. Gaze goes to the left. Whatever, but gaze goes, knees go to the left, right, gaze goes to the right, I think. Opposite of what you just did the first time. Yes, gaze to the right. And then take a moment and feel this whole long fascial line from right pinky finger, outside of the right arm, through the armpit, breathing all the way through the right side ribs, the right side waist, the hip, all the way down to your right knee. Just noticing all the sensations through this line of the body. When you're ready, reaching the right fingertips on an inhale along the floor, up and overhead like an arc, tracing an arc like a rainbow, all the way until right palm comes to stack on top of left palm. And then draw your right hand all along your left arm through towards the chest as you roll back to center. Knees coming through center. You could take a smooth, even breath here. And when you're ready, making your way back up to your seat. Coming up as slowly and easily as you can. Maybe the eyes are still closed. Coming back to your easy seat. You might take the hands together in heart center. If you'd like to join me, we'll close with the sound of Om, taking in a breath. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May peace be with you. Thank you both for practicing with me. I wish you both a beautiful day. Class is officially over. You can take as long as you like. If you want to turn on your mic and chat with me or tell me anything that you have to say after class, feel free to join.